AI in medicine, it's doing some incredible things, predicting heart attacks with, stunning accuracy. But there's a hidden flaw, a bias that could be putting millions of lives at risk. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this really critical issue. Let's dive in.
So let's start with the promise here. I want you to imagine a kind of super doctor, an AI that can spot a heart attack before it even happens. It's a total game changer, right? But here's the thing. This super doctor, it has a secret, a blind spot. And that blind spot is putting certain patients in some serious danger.
And the promise here, it's just huge. We're talking about AI that can look at an ECG or a medical scan and see things that even a highly trained human eye might miss. It can spot heart disease, arrhythmias, even heart failure, and it can do it earlier and more accurately than we've ever been able to before. This is truly life-saving technology. But, and this is the big but, here's the billion-dollar question. Who is this technology actually built to protect? Because, you see, an AI is only as smart as the data it learns from. And if that data is biased, well, that life-saving promise of AI, it just doesn't apply to everyone.
Okay, so where does this all go wrong? It really starts with the data, the raw ingredients. Think of it like this. An AI is kind of like a chef with a cookbook. Now, if that cookbook only has recipes from, say, one part of the world, that chef is going to be an absolute master of those dishes. But what happens when you ask them to cook something new, something from a different cuisine? They'll be completely lost. And that, right there, is the AI's blind spot.
And this chart right here, this is that cookbook problem in action. Just look at this. A lot of these AI models for heart diagnostics, they're trained on data where Hispanic patients make up less than 5%. Less than 5%. They're practically invisible in the data. Now, this happens for a lot of reasons. Historical gaps in medical research, unequal access to the healthcare system, you name it. But the result is the same. The AI never, ever learns to recognize their unique health patterns.
So this has a name. It's called algorithmic bias. And it's really important to get this. It's not that the computer is prejudiced or has bad intentions. It's more like a technical glitch. The AI's results are skewed simply because the data it learned from was skewed to begin with. You could say it's just a distorted reflection of an unequal world.
And let's be clear, this isn't just some abstract data science problem. This blind spot has very real, very serious consequences. When an AI is biased, it makes mistakes. And in medicine, those mistakes can lead to misdiagnoses, delayed treatments, and sometimes truly life-threatening situations. Okay, get this. Some of these AI tools have a 20% higher error rate when diagnosing heart conditions in Hispanic patients compared to non-Hispanic white patients. A 20% higher chance of getting it wrong. Think about that for a second. That is a massive, massive difference.
And believe it or not, it gets worse. When you look at AI that reads ECGs, the rate of false negatives, that's when the AI tells you you're fine, but you're actually not, that rate is 17% higher for Hispanic patients. And that's probably the most dangerous error of all, right? Because it means sick people are being told they're healthy, and they aren't getting the care they desperately need.
So what you end up with are two completely different realities, created by the very same technology. For one group of people, it's an incredible lifesaver. For another group, it's a total gamble. You've got higher error rates, underestimated risk, and delayed care. It is literally a story of inequity, written in code.
And here's the really scary part. This problem isn't static. It can actually get worse over time. It's a phenomenon researchers are calling fairness drift. Basically, a model that seems pretty fair today can become more biased tomorrow as it gets updated or as the patient populations it sees start to change. It's like this silent erosion of equity that we have to be constantly monitoring.
But look, this isn't a lost cause, not at all. Experts are all over this, and they're working hard to correct this bias and build fairer AI. So the question is, what's the path forward? How do we fix this?
Well, it's basically a four-step process. Step 1, you've got to fix the data itself. That means diversifying it and giving more weight to the groups that were underrepresented. Step 2, you build fairness directly into the AI's learning process. You're basically telling it to optimize for both accuracy and equity. Then, step 3, you calibrate the final predictions to make sure the outcomes are fair across the board. And finally, step 4, you have to continuously monitor for that fairness drift we were just talking about. It's a constant process.
But fixing the code, as important as that is really only part of the solution. To build a truly fair AI, we have to zoom out and understand that health is so much more than just biology. It's about the entire world we live in.
And this is where something called social determinants of health, or SDOH for short, come into play. So what are these? Well, they're all the things in our lives that affect our health but aren't strictly medical. We're talking about things like your socioeconomic status, your access to healthcare, your education, even the environment you live in. An AI that ignores these factors is missing a huge piece of the puzzle. Just imagine an algorithm that doesn't just see an ECG, but also knows if a patient lives in a food desert or has trouble getting a ride to the clinic. Now that is a smarter and much fairer AI.
All right, so what does it really take to build this equitable AI we're talking about? It's not just about getting better code or more data. It's so much bigger than that. It's a totally coordinated effort, a real team effort.
Yeah, everyone has to be on board. Your tech experts, they need to be building these fairness-aware algorithms. Your doctors and clinicians, they need to start integrating this social data into how they assess patients. And the policymakers, they absolutely need to mandate things like fairness audits and transparency in these AI models. At the end of the day, everyone involved has to make health equity a top priority, not just some afterthought.
So here's the bottom line. This isn't just about fixing a bug in the code. It's about redesigning the entire system from the ground up. From the way we collect data in the first place to how we actually use AI out there in the real world. We need to build a system that has fairness and inclusiveness baked into its very core.
You know, in the end, AI is really just a mirror. It reflects back to us the data we give it, biases and all. So the challenge, but also the incredible opportunity, is to build not just smarter technology, but fairer technology. We have the chance to actually code our values of equity and justice, into the very tools that will shape the future of our health. And the big question that leaves us with is, will we rise to that challenge?